Alright guys, Papa Pepper back once again here on the Abundant Harvest Homestead. If you saw, before we took our trip up to Michigan, we spent some time making these. So these are going to be, what is it, 5 I think? 5 nice big rock raised beds. They've got chain link fence for the backing, about 4.5 feet tall or so. They've each got an archway between them. And as we come up through here, we've got 5 of these guys. This one's kind of full-ish, maybe half full. It's got a mixture of forest floor kind of leaf litter, composting stuff from there. It's got some rabbit manure on it. This one's got a couple of rotting logs in it. So, on this one, I actually got to sort through this. This is a present a friend gave me. But I've got these 5 here that I need to fill. To be able to do that, I'm not looking to go just buy a whole bunch of soil to fill with it. So I've got to kind of look at my resources here, do the best I can with what I've got. One thing that I have is rabbit manure, but lately we've been giving a lot more hay to the rabbits, and what I don't want to do is take a bunch of rabbit manure that's full of hay and introduce that to the to my new growing bed, because that's going to increase the amount of weeds and grasses and stuff that come up in there. So I've got a couple plans. That stuff will be composted first. It can join us later. But here's an area that we used to have a garden, and it was just kind of some experiments with growing our sweet potatoes in a way that some people do in different places around the world, where you pretty much make like a dome, a hill of soil. You plant into that and you cover it with rocks, and you maybe run, like I got there, just a bamboo up or a stick up or something like that, so animals can't get to the tubers that you want. That was an experiment we had over here, but now we're kind of shifting our resources to other places. So here's what we got. Got a bunch of these buckets of rocks for the rock pillar fence. Got a bunch of large rocks. Those are going to come in handy too. And then wherever I had these little piles, you can see what I did is I heavily mulched around it, and then I had a little hole, and I filled that with a little dome full of soil. So now this soil, that soil can be lifted and used elsewhere, which is what we've got here in these buckets. So 5-gallon buckets of soil really don't go as far as you think. Oh yeah.
Like a little girl.
Wow,
See?
she is so dark. So dark. Look at you. You're pretty cool. Oh yeah. I'm gonna snap a couple photos of her too. Honestly, I don't mind getting distracted like that, but it was cool too, because Red Pepper apologized. She said, "I'm sorry for distracting your video," after I was done with my photographs. But back here, oh, those sheep. Check it out. They're all on the border, seeing what they can get from here. So here's where we cleared out for this pasture, and starting to build it up. Sheep are trying to nibble through the fence, but one thing we did was we took some rocks out of it, some small rocks out of it, and these are a lot of just older logs and sticks. Some of these are starting to break down and decompose already. I'm going to also come over with the trailer and pick up some of these to use to help build up those raised beds. Lay a couple of these down, cover them with a layer of soil, lay a couple more. Then there won't be really spaces in between these for mice or rodents to live in, and over time they'll just break down and make some nice rich soil. Right, Mama? What you thinking? Look at you guys getting so big. My little lambs. And you guys are the little lambs. Yeah. And you're one of the big lambs, aren't you? One of the first ones this year. You're looking well. I like your color. That is for sure. Tell them. There you go. Hey, Mama. How's your babies doing? How's your babies doing? I'm working on cleaning up this area for you guys. I'll get this tarp out of here and some of this stuff. I know. I'll clean your house. Don't worry. So as usual, since there's so many different things that I've kind of got to be moving around, I'm going to hook up the trailer once again. Load up those logs. Load up the soil. Get some more of that, and then probably drop off another load of rocks where they need to be as we continue to progress with these projects too. So that's what I'm working on today. You know, a lot of times it's kind of hard to stop once you get going. And last night I was working by flashlight taking care of this. Since I've got the trailer and truck right here, I want to make sure to get all the rest of the soil out of here that I was planning on. And the cool thing is, this is all some pretty nice rich stuff. It's a growing medium I made myself last year, put out here, used last year for sweet potatoes mostly. And now I just get to move it somewhere else. That'll be a permanent resting place. This was just an experiment to see kind of how something would work and expose the children to a growing method they're probably not really going to see here in the United States, but that is more popular in different places around the world. In here as well is a lot of earthworms, so that is very good to see because they're hard at work making this stuff all the better. So here I'm just looking at the little round area where I had it planted in last year, heavily mulched around the outside. All this stuff is a lot better than the rock and clay that we have around here, and we're going to be able to use it then in our new raised beds. Bonus duck food. Got some big grubs in here too. That's good. Ouch. And at the end, just kind of rake in the extra mulch. Leave it kind of flat. Good to go. I'm gonna toss these to those ducks, see what they think. Hey ducks, look at that. See those? Come check them out. Grubs for everyone. Or just for you. You're the only brave one. One last one. There you go. Not quite as good as minnows, but they'll work, right? Boy, I can't wait for these guys to start laying eggs and reproducing too. Got one male right now and 6 females. Hopefully we can keep them good and safe. And beautiful looking group here. So we got 20 some 5-gallon buckets pretty much full of the soil. And one thing to remember when you're building soil, and especially when you're kind of doing your own thing, using what you got on your property to pretty much make some soil, all that we're really doing in composting or in a lot of permaculture is just reproducing what already happens. We're just kind of taking a certain stewardship over it, kind of combining some of the elements, some of the stuff ourselves. So I'm just going to be taking some of the stuff that would normally be falling to the forest floor, decomposing on its own, getting worked on by the earthworms and the millipedes and different stuff, and eventually turning into that rich soil that we find on the forest floor. That's all I'm doing, just adding some of those elements, mixing them together. It's going to help me because those are going to take up quite a bit of mass, quite a bit of space right now, and then as they break down, it's going to be, you know, rich. I'm going to be continuing to, you know, fertilize all my stuff, so I'll be adding things like comfrey tea, stinging nettle tea, fish emulsion to the top of them, and then also continuing to mulch, whether it's with straw, with wood chips, you know, the top layer, and then also adding things like rabbit manure or fresh compost to the top anyway. So I'll fill it up, it'll have some of that wooden stuff in there, it'll start breaking down over the time, but I'll continue to be adding to it, and over the years it'll just be a real nice rich growing medium. I'll be able to dig my fingers right through if I need to. A great place to grow a lot of those foods we're trying to feed our family with. So I'm gonna get this loaded and we'll start filling them. And it's kind of hard for Blueberry to see a trailer show up and not jump on it. She actually jumped on it while I was still driving back here. I had to stop for a minute and let her off. Bugger! Who jumped on the trailer?
Blueberry.
Blueberry! What's Blueberry doing up there? Those are all buckets of soil. You know what I'm gonna do with that soil? I'm gonna fill our raised beds. And then what are we gonna do with the raised beds? Are we gonna plant some food?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk to the sheep, Bugger? Huh. They're in there? Oh, there you go. Go find out what's happening to your friends.
Hey, Bugger, come right here.
You like that little sheep? Woohoo! So the wind picked up a little bit, but we're all loaded up. Back over here by my 5 new raised beds. Some of these sticks will also be used for a Viking funeral for the guineas we lost. Unfortunately, you know, part of what happens. But I'm just gonna kind of try to attack these one at a time, and I may only have enough stuff for one bed at this point. I don't know. It's amazing how much space it actually is. And I'm just gonna try to layer these in there in a way that makes sense, leave them spaced out, and I'll show you guys a little bit of the process. So here's kind of an example of how I would put in the first layer. They're all spaced out, they're not really touching. The soil will have a chance to kind of encase them and work all the way around them. Some of this wood, like this, if you just look, it's just crumbling up, okay? There's not a lot left to it. That's where I kind of like it to be. So we'll add that in here too, and we'll add a layer on top of this, and we'll see what it looks like. Well, that layer is covered now. It took 8 buckets. I probably only have 23 or 24, so that's 1 layer probably of 4. I'll get the sticks down again, and we'll see if we even have enough to finish this one bed or not. So with something like this too, ideally if I had some really big, really dense, really round, crumbly, old rotten logs, that would work great too. There are some of those on the property, but I also wanted to use this. A couple things that happens is, one, they encourage a lot of things to be kind of breaking down. They encourage a lot of different little insects and stuff, different microbes to come in and really focus on making the soil better. And they can also like retain moisture. When you get a lot of rain, that stuff will hold that water, remain saturated, so it can be a good moisture supply, a good water supply for your plants in the future. I'll show you this next layer, and then add another layer of soil. So just some more little sticks there, the next layer, and we'll add another layer of soil. So there we are on the next layer. That was another 8 buckets. We'll lay down some more logs and go again. 3rd layer of sticks. Stretch that last 7 buckets to make my 3rd layer. It's deep enough I would definitely plant in it, but I do want to bring these, you know, nearer up to the top and get them ready to go that way. I will take a number of these that are still kind of the rotten ones and lay them down on the other ones of these. So it's just a matter of trying to get these guys a little bit better. A friend of mine might run and grab some soil, so I might go in on him with some, but I definitely want to be using as much stuff as I have, like bigger rotten logs, rabbit manure, old garden scraps, to get these things full. So like I said, just one way. We use what we got around here to try to take care of our own needs. If we can be generating our own soil, using that to grow our own food, it's gonna be a whole lot more cost effective for us. So hope you guys appreciated that video. We'll see you next time. Papa out.